So I think we should get started. Great. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. I'm super excited to have this full house here today. It's like very exciting to me, and also very scary. And I'm welcome you here. Get super nervous to bang in front of people on stage. Absolutely. So that's not this is my first presentation presentation, so I did all the and I will feel more of you participate in the presentation better all of us. And more fun now. So we've got a couple cool activities to do, and then I will talk about experiencing advocacy and how that empowers the peers to do what we're going to do. So as you can see, Evan and I now we're going to go through this. I'm Brayden. I'm the program coordinator for the Utah Peer Network, the organization focused on peer advocacy, peer support for all of you. Right? We are an organization that wants to work on system development for the peer community in Utah. Thanks, and the first one we're going to about community disorder and disorder. My program and my current serve as the senior impact director, the Utah Support Advocacy for Recovery and Awareness. And on our agenda, let's just run through our slides. We're going to talk about different levels of advocacy, starting with advocating for yourself, advocating for others, and clients and businesses. At an organizational level, which is often very hard for all of us to do, standing up to things that you feel there are inappropriate or wrong in the workplace. And community advocacy, which is really effective and many else. So we are also going to word.
I don't know why. And I'm really not touching it.
I feel for for sure. Very comfortable. So yeah, so here's some of the range objectives for today. So things that we will learn. To be able to advocate for ourselves and our peer participants, so that we're able to advocate confidently for self to create change. We also want to advocate change at the organizational level. So creating an advocacy culture, creating teams where we work and practice for support specialists. And finally, advocate at the community and policy level for large scale. So hopefully you get the basics of the organized here at advocacy and all. So oftentimes you hear those video levels talked about in a number of different ways. Sometimes you hear micro, meso, macro. So micro is like one-on-one individual advocacy, macro is large scale systems like laws, policies change. So my wheelhouse is in the macro arena, and Brayden is expert in yeah. So I also work with person on recovery, a certified peer specialist, forensic peer. I'm also trained on social worker as well. And so and I'm relatively new to this more broad sense of advocacy. I came into this as person recovery, peer specialist, program director, clients, and I really loved it. But over time, I became a little bit disenfranchised with a lot of the issues I saw my clients facing, barriers that I felt in the workplace, and a lot of the issues that so many of us get housing, right? Healthcare, open through mental health. And so I really started focusing in my school, but started focusing on more system community advocacy. And Evan really taking me into the so we're going to talk a lot about level and how we're raising up in the individual here, how we can go forward, and how we start taking it. Hey.
Maybe. No.
There we go. So let's start. Everyone have a look at the got on their slide or pen and paper. I have some sticky notes and pen and these up.
but or you can do this on the phone if that works. No chat. Who is familiar with Simon Sinek? The guy that talks about inspiring your life. He's a big public speaker, inspiration speaker. I really love his work. So he talks about starting with your why. He's really talking about workplace issues and changing the workplace, those kinds of things. But it applies to us because who here got into careers for a pretty specific reason or a very personal reason. Most of us get into this help, right? Using our shared experience. That's the whole purpose. And so most of us are operating from our why in some capacity, whether we defined it or whether it's more vague and just something that we love to do. And so this exercise is going to kind of help us reframe the way that we do our work, right? A lot of us think what we do, right? We provide resources, we coach, we do assessments, we crisis work and hospital, anything like that. And those are great things. That's what we do. That's how we help. I'll set down from that as how we do it, right? How we do the work that we do and build the support that we do with our clients. But at the core of that and what we should really be operating out of is our why. We start with why. We're going to have much greater results if we're living from that purpose. Why do that is do? Right, so the exercise we're going to do is basically you draw this circle. Right? The first circle is why. Our circle is how. And the last circle is what. Right? And we're going to define our why statements. We want to take a couple minutes. Think really about why we might end this. And then when we do right, we like stuff around. All those are going. Or we can share with our friends. And really think about why you do what you do, why you got into careers, many of us came for careers, why the paths get into this middle order. And if we have to define why states, we do that to better understand how and what we do and make it more effective. So many questions. And we are going to use this end for our activity, create an advocacy. Identify something that we want to change, smaller big, and we're going to start working on it. Everyone's done a little bit of stuff. That's what their why might be. Really think, for me, my why is I have lived experience with an active substance use in my life, right? And before that, I would really mind myself. I would focus on my career and my goals and just trying to do the things that I want. What I learned early in recovery is I had a lot of great people taking into their lead and show me, love me until I love myself and I can share that with others. Right? So my why is to be able to share what I would get with everyone around me, and that's been focused in different ways. I have my what change, right? Those things are a little bit fluid depending on what is in front of me, what I'm working on. But my why does it. My why is what I need, right? I did my training, what I do. So then everyone has kind of rough idea of the why statement. Questions? Yeah. Does anyone feel comfortable sharing kind of what their why is? Please, we'd love to hear it. Okay.
My why is to create opportunity to change for those suffering with substance use disorder and to help end punitive punishment and to give love to those who are used to lack of it. Mine is for creating space for others to use their own voice.
Yeah,
I never had a good excellent self, which I have a vision for myself. I help others. My experience of the not so good things that I've done.
And I don't believe about that, right? Because that's super important reason why. They think a lot of us, that was the sort of thing we did because we wanted people to not go. But that wife can also change over time, right? My wife has shifted a little bit now that I'm in the recovery community to be more focused on, I don't want my friends. Right? And so that it's changing. Yeah.
And also, I have that
So I wanted to offer this important change planning that I did.
people, yeah. So in this room, we're all kindred spirits, right? We all are operating in similar spaces, and our lives are probably very similar to and unique to our experiences, past and present. And so hold on to that. We're going to use that to create our goal. So there's a basic intro to advocacy. Who here would define themselves? Who feel into our advocacy? Everyone, pretty much. Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's a core function of peer support work, right? We almost every day are advocating for a client, for ourselves, with a judge, a doctor, right? We're hoping to use our voices that we have learned to use to help our clients and participants that may not be comfortable yet, right? Or academics, right? But more specifically, it's the intentional use of knowledge to create change, right? And a lot of harm that's data and research and organizing, right? But it can be stories, similar to what our talked about. These stories can be experiences we have, using that information. Why does advocacy matter, right? For me, what I learned, and something that was kind of hard for me to grapple with, was that if I wasn't being an advocate, I was essentially co-signing on things that I just, right? I was saying both the things are okay, and I'm bored that I'm not comfortable willing to use. And so that, when I was first learning these skills, was an uncomfortable thing to be different, but my whole life I didn't participate in politics and all those other things that have the right. And so I had to learn to come through that fact and know that it's important. If I don't have to do things that I feel are important, nobody else is. Right. Or there are other people advocating those things that and then sorry, I'm moving this all when does it happen and how? It happens every all day, all the time, right? There are specific advocacy movements and the recovery movement, right? Evan and I have a whole host of things how we're just involved in DC and National Recovery Leadership Summit. And there were, I don't know how many people up at the Apple talking to Utah legislators that advocate for needed change. It's an incredible experience, right? And that's happening here throughout the recovery that Inspire does, right? That's a form of advocacy as well for community organization. Right? And then on the more micro level that we talk about, this is one fair example of advocacy that they've done with the Southern. Yeah.
I had a participant who wanted to advocate to have more parent time with their child. And so we role played what that would like to advocate for themselves in their family meeting.
Anyone else?
And I got to advocate for appearing a classifications meeting at the work. They wanted to move his housing to where he could get programs, because if you're into a higher level in the jail, you can't do programs. And I advocated that he was not moved to because he needs the support that we were providing him.
Yeah, and so it's pretty self-explanatory for us to do it every day. I know for me, learning those skills was extremely empowering. I grew up not being able to use my voice very much and in my community. And so learning how to use it, learning how to implement it, create real change on me and form itself and others, really empowering, really helps to hold my confidence in my identity myself. Right? We talked about it beginning, I'm extremely terrified of public speaking, but the only reason I can do this is still speaking. And then the level we talk about is these are the things that we're going to go into more detail. Self-advocacy, obviously for other kind of micro, organizational, and maybe neighborhood unity, and then more macro.
Cool. So we want to start changing the conversations that are happening in the state of Utah about addiction and substance abuse and mental health. We have to start by changing the language, right? A lot of the words that we use, we can start stigmatizing or talking about. And so, first thing I want to point out is that the most respectful way of talking about any group of people is to talk about them as people. And so, I literally use that word right? So, instead of saying, this is adults, or you're a person, to something. So you're giving them first. So person first language is really important. That can also be, that's also true in terms of not defining someone by their diagnosis, right? So we could say that, an example might be saying like he's a schizophrenic, right? Well, he is a person that's schizophrenic, right? So that's the shift that we're feeding. So avoid defining people by their diagnosis and present it as an aspect of the data, right? We're all complex people, and we all have lots of different entities. So we're more than just that one unit, right? Again, we're also using criminal justice labels like prisoner or felon, right? Which can also be very stigmatized things. Person that's incarcerated or person that is has a screen. Criminal justice law. There's also other words that we use that often imply that a person is not cooperating with the program. So like say that someone is non-compliant or resistant, oftentimes we're making an assumption about that person, what that person's motives are, and it's not appropriate. That also that imply fault or causation, right? So like saying that someone committed suicide, right? Often when we say that, it makes that person sound like a person sort of like perpetrator, right? It's a person that died by suicide. Is that making sense for everybody? I know that this is or 10,000 foot view of the language created by India, which is much more in depth and takes up would take a consult session, but we want to touch on these things just briefly because the way that we talk about ourselves and people and our peers are profoundly important and it impacts how people perceive us. So I really want to try to avoid perpetuating stigma and what the behavior has happened, right? So let's give some examples of some stereotypes that people might have about people in recovery from substance use disorders or mental health conditions. The junkies, yeah, what that?
Well, okay, so back when I worked at arms laying on together, you know.
What else? Fire them.
That's a crack about.
Right.
We have.
What else? Criminal, yeah, we're criminals. Crazy person, yeah, we're unhinged, right?
The word like for.
Super.
People in mental illness certainly.
Yeah, that's a big assumption that people with mental illness are dangerous, that might be they make a threat.
I see a lot of little less like not big words, but like they're impossible. Like they come to jail over and over and they're never gonna change. Yeah. So just like kind of just disregard and seen as something that could change.
Sorry, just to interrupt real quick. The online people is super echoey in the room, and when the air conditioning kicks on, it's also really hard. So if you just talk like you're really outside, the online people can hear a lot better as well.
So how can we avoid perpetuating the stigmas through the work that we do? Like, what can we do as advocates and we're working with other people and we're presenting ourselves to people in recovery? How can we avoid perpetuating the stigmas? We can try to lead people. Then we can try to like or we all how we explain people.
Education.
Educate people, right? So oftentimes people hold stereotypes because they don't know a lot of times. It's a lot harder, the term it's a lot harder to be up close, right? When somebody is close to you, they can't hold those kind of negative stereotypes back, but they naturally learn that you're a person, feelings, and that you're a person of value. What else? Yeah.
So I work with clients on parole, and I found that in working with APP, like sharing my story with APP, as in like, hey, like I was never intent to, and I was able to change. So you might give them an opportunity to show you that they can do something.
Definitely. And I think that what's really awesome about being here and in the workforce, is that oftentimes our presence changes the conversation. Right? Like I'm sure you've all been in meetings or things with groups of people where suddenly they're talking a little bit differently about the people that we serve because we're in the room, right? And that's what people to know, like, hey, I'm a person in recovery too. Can't say those horrible things that you're saying. What else?
I know a lot of times my dialogue that I would say the schizophrenic or a bipolar. I gotta say somebody good substance or somebody with, you know what I mean? It's finding their path for illness.
Yes,
Saying that they're approved to have.
definitely. That person language is really important. Yeah, person.
Okay, so what about more ones, like seven peppers? Stuff like that.
Yeah, we're not.
It was. As I have. And I struggle with so is there a way to avoid stigmatization in that?
Definitely. I think that we can all connect with the idea that we have all done things that we're not proud of. We've all done things either in our addiction or in the midst of a mental health crisis that we may not be proud of. But like you can offer some grace maybe in those situations and again use that person first like person in its place. It's not they're not so
I saw the screen, I liked, instead of saying a person with bipolar or SUD as an experience.
yes.
I changed that in its style, I was like, that to use the word experiencing, not coping or dealing, struggling, but using the word experiencing, that seems far more positive.
I love that because like placing an emphasis on the temporary nature of the condition, right? And we also got we're talking about people that are currently experiencing homelessness. It's temporary, and it's specifying that person. Yeah.
So in reference to what someone was talking about in regards to the sex offenses, what about sending their hands? They have been charged with the sex offenses, and it takes kind of that commitment piece out of it, like you were speaking about earlier. You know, and then it's just yeah, I mean, you know, they have been charged with this. I don't know.
No, I think that's a really good point because that's criminal justice system is often weaponized against marginalized communities, right? So LGBT people have often been charged with those kinds of offenses unfair, right? Because that's the way our system is kind of marginalizing them or keeping them in the side.
I think an important element of this, of course, is every time you hear one of those things that's very powerful, like pedophile, for example, instantly an image or an idea lost here about that person, and that person no longer thinking, right? They're no longer close. It's easier to meet them, they're far away and less. And so when we bring a person or the terminology we prescribe of the recovery or clients, whatever they're experiencing, it instantly changes that and brings that back in front of you. Humanizes. And for me, that really helps me to hold that person. And much better than if I have some subconscious or conscious bias.
Yeah, I think that one of the most dehumanizing things you can do as people is define them by just one aspect of their identity. So it's true, right? I'm gay, yeah. It would be weird for me if someone were to call me I'm gay. Right? Like, just I'm gay. You don't tell that, right? Like that's all I get. Right? So it's not all doing that. It's just one part.
Okay, so one of the primary ways we can use advocacy first. Okay. Same way I'm giving examples of advocacy of yourself. You have everything.
I know early on where I was used very easy. I was used very aggressive, so it was really hard for me to speak up in my own personal meetings or anything because I was afraid to speak up because of how I was able to communicate. And so
took a lot of work and one-on-one with my personal work. Time, and working on doing that whole thing and being able to like learn how to communicate on that one-on-one level, using my voice. And so that at one point, and then so working one-on-one with her, I was able to finally like talk it out and like, actually create a really good bond with her to see this and then of course the team. So and that was like where my kind of journey started, as being able to use my voice and
Really, definitely when it comes to taking care of like recovery, very different. You have to be for not for myself. Explain for instance, this morning, the committee was supposed to provide or ask for bread. And I knew it was really good for me. So I just advocated for myself and said, you know, I did it, I will not do it. Is there something that I can do otherwise? So he's very much empowered. I can take care of myself that way. I do I would not propose invite, but that's and often I don't do that because of the meeting. But today I was able to say, no, I have to be it's not to me it's great self advocacy and I do often self therapy. But no, I can't do that today, or I really take the game.
the sentence no is like a great way of engaging in self-advocacy, but also no kind of get. I also saw a really great example in this section where the folks on Western God, they couldn't hear us, right? They're advocating for themselves. So you're good.
Yeah, so a key part of some advocacy that I see at all levels of involvement in advocate for is, or if you never do more harm if you don't fully understand the problem, right? Because it could be attacking or examining right or wrong. Right, and so Einstein is often quoted as if I had an hour to solve a problem, I spent 55 minutes thinking about the problem in 5 minutes. So it's really just to say, and Einstein's pretty smart, right? And talk about that. So we want to spend a good amount of time finding the problem and understanding it in order before we can see, because we can go in the wrong direction and cause ourselves to back. In order to do that for yourself, you want to make sure that you're addressing your bias, right? And that those aren't kind of teasing, for lack of a better word, in the situation. You want to listen to yourself, ask questions of anyone else that could be involved, so they've got all the perspective, it's not just your own. Right? So we have a lot of sponsors or mentors or our boss, if they're support us to be able to do that. And follow up research and gathering data, right? So doing some advocacy requirements. Next thing, this kind of circle back to our original question. This starts speaking, right? One of the best ways to do that is to prep and plan, right? Especially if you're going into a meeting to advocate for yourself or your boss, you might sit down and you want to write out your speech, you want to brainstorm your ideas and how you want to approach it, right? You want to be very mindful of who you're talking to, who your audience, so that this certain person over here might need a more direct. And this person over here might be a little more sensitive, might need a softer. And fully understanding right out of the plan and work hard and planning. So that's what you feel confident you did the work. The hard part's over. Now you take the action. And I always think about it with 3 weeks, breath, action, moves, right? So you do your breath, action, but that can also bite you, right? So you want to figure out, John already mentioned this in the early days, right? Having that regular conversation, right? In the management. So learning the skills to ground yourself, speak with voice, and to use your mouth and your heart to do it in a kind of controlled manner. That they're not, people talk about stuff, or people are so happy and so gung-ho and fired up. They often use the language that we're use and kind of reinforce the negative aspects that a lot of individuals have covered. Right? So one good reminder of using our mouth in a way that's productive for us and not contradictory. And then one thing that always helps me in all my roles is remember this me versus the problem, not me versus me. That's not the legislation, that's when I'm advocating for myself, my organization. There's a problem, it's not me versus you, plus me versus you. if I have that, again, we force not do that person, even if they're the ones that are, so-called causing the problem for me, right? That's always very difficult. And then speaking from the heart, it's 60 plan, without a plan. We need a little bit, you know, we let passion drive a little bit, it's 60. And then advocating for others, just some slides pretty similar. And a lot of the aspects of self-advocacy and advocating for others are similar, right? Gratifying for as well as but a key difference is advocacy, right? And self-advocacy, you're helping yourself to find a problem. You're advocating for a client or participant. Really be able to listen to the problem. Right? You need to help them use motivational interview awareness skills you have to ask the right questions so that you can find the right answers on how to find problems. And once you and this person that you're advocating with were holding the end of the problem and what you want to do about it, plan, such in there, planning, this reduces stress and anxiety, publicly or in a stimulating setting. This is going to help with more confidence, literally. And most of the time, those nerves go away once you get into it, right? That's when your preparation takes over. And then, yeah, again, action, speak passionately, but speak it in a way that's going to keep it up.
Sweet. So now we're talking about organizational advocacy or advocacy at a more macro level. So advocacy can also start at the top, right? Everybody can all impacts the organization. Advocacy we use the model called servant leadership, right? Or I can see myself as a servant, not an organization, and so I try to be with people that are like technically under me on the organization chart, right? The most powerful people at the organization for me are the people that are, right? They're the people that we want to make sure that they're doing right. And I am merely surveying their needs, right? So that's been a really frame for studying in this work, seeing myself as a servant. We want to try to build an advocacy culture. So making sure that we're providing opportunities for people to advocate themselves and others, but also for people to advocate at different levels, right? So making sure that we're involving different people in the process, getting more voices involved in the discussion. Making sure that everyone's involved, right? So reaching out to people who may not typically like volunteer for those kinds of opportunities and telling them to help out. People might work themselves in this. Being flexible with the job, right? So like starting with my things change. So being able to flex and adapt with the changes that you're experiencing and can be nimble how you go approaches. And then finally, top down and bottom down, right? So the top down approach is kind of like the typical way that we think of how changes can be written. So like you're at the top that makes change in the down. But change can also happen from the grassroots, right? People like just doing everyday people that use our voices to tell people at the top what's right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about public policy. I truly believe that all levels of advocacy are important, right? That micro, meso, and macro levels are truly important for all of us to engage in because they all work with them. Okay? The work that I do as a leader at an organization tells me a lot about the system functioning in and what things need to change. And so I'll give you an example. When I started HSR in 2015, I was a volunteer as an right? And most often the number one question we get on the phone was a person that was starting an industry, right? They didn't have insurance, they didn't have resources to get so they're trying to navigate the system to get into a public fund treatment. So often at a time, it was before Medicaid expansion, but they had to go to ARS and they had to go to these injury groups and aids and that was a state process. And so we were able to guide through that system. And we're putting people either from that system But really, we need to make a macro level change, we need to make public policy change at the top, right? In order to help everyone. And so that's what we did. As an organization, we got really involved with Medicaid expansion and expanding Medicaid to everyone's jobs that qualify, right? And now that landscape is back to different people can get treatment because they can usually qualify for Medicaid. I mean, it's not a perfect system, but it's right? And so the kinds of questions we get now on the phone are vastly different than the kinds of questions we get. So a few things to think about when you're engaging in public policy work. So thinking about what's the issue, right? What's that issue? In this example that I was just giving you, we're talking about Medicaid and health insurance, right? So you need to figure out who makes that decision. Who's going to be the person we need to target to make that change. So in the state of Utah, that's not. There's a few ways of going about that. Ultimately ended up working with the state legislature to make that happen. Then we thought about why do people care about this? Why do the legislators care about people with substance use disorder, right? And so we really had to connect with folks that people with substance use disorders would be like anyone else, right? And luckily, we're kind of in a spot where most everyone in the United States knows someone who's struggling with substance use disorder, right? And so they know that we're in the middle of a crisis. Then we have to think through what's our proposed solutions. Like, what are we going to be asking them to do? So in my example, it was asking them to expand Medicaid to make it available to more people across the state. And then finally, when you're talking to an elected official, you want to leave them with a specific kind of goal in mind, right? So making sure that you're making an ask for them to do something very specific following the interaction, right? So I'm asking you to vote this way on this bill, or I'm asking you to support this issue, right? And so we really think about what to expect to do this.
All right, any questions so far? Anything we've covered? Okay, perfect. Right on schedule. The only other piece that I want to mention as far as community involved in advocacy is, there's great examples out there of people in the community banding together to create, let's say, the motivation to let rather for recovery. Not only does a lot of community advocacy and organizing people together, right? And so if there is an issue that does exist at all level and those macro issues, you use your support and people around you to start building support resources in order to that as well, right? And so before we did this last activity, I really want to touch on the fact that each and every person in this room is capable of creating any of the changes that you want to see for policy at the individual level and organization, right? And I know for me, I never got involved in macro stuff, family problems and stuff like that as a kid, but also because I didn't really feel like I was ever making a difference. There's one person and all these things in my career. But we have the ability, and this is what I've learned through working with other people in the community now, that we have the ability to work together and build support and build movements, right? The entire recovery community movement didn't exist, right? And now it does. Look at how many people are at this conference for peer support specifically. There's all kinds of different gatherings that the change that we talked about today. As far as what has changed for people in recovery, that's because of conversations like this and people learning how to use their voice to advocate at every level, right? And so as we get into this, I want you to be very mindful of something that you specifically want to change. Whether it's a self-advocacy goal, an advocating for others goal, an organizational or community policy. I want to offer all my contact info at the end and as well to be a partner with you as you work on it. Right, so we want to make sure that we're going to set an advocacy goal that we all are probably familiar with SMART goals. Thank you. All familiar with SMART goals, right? Helping our clients set them. Can anyone tell me what SMART stands for? And so we want to use that, of course, the great framework. This kind of a convoluted map of process going through, right? So we want to use our why. That's the main thing. We want to set our goals with our why, because then we know we're going to be funded and focus on the right issues, we're gonna be able to build support the way that we need to. So using your why, when I identify a problem I want to change, so I'm brainstorm for ideas and goals. I think it's important to recognize that not every idea you come up with is going to be good, right? So we're going to work that. We can scrap them, put them in the to-do later pile, and reframe them, and look at them again, and try to come up with a good idea. Or even an okay idea. We can start to work on that, right? We want to take that idea and want to see it, right? We want to see where it is. So, for instance, if I and my organization don't feel that my team is being supported in recovery culture, I would set a goal to change that. Talk to my boss, whoever it is, talk to. Say, hey, how can we start to build a better recovery culture here? The support of peers benefits in recovery. The most important thing that's going to extend out the time. If I feel more supported in my organization, I'm going to be more prepared and better equipped for my clients and members. And so that's a big part of the goals that we're setting. Right? And so once we have our goal, then we run through SMART actually there's always experience. Is it specific? Specific enough for me to actually, or is it vague and broad and kind of vague? Right? If it is, I can reframe it and work with it and hold it. This is it measurable? This is what I always struggle with. How am I going to measure my? Right? I would look at my hand. I want to raise my $1,000. That's easy to track. I'm 1,000, I'm 2,000, I'm 3,000. Some of our goals in social workspaces and peer support spaces are a little bit more hard to define. So this is where you can work with your team and ask questions and try to figure out how you're doing that. Because that's important. If we get halfway through, and we have no idea where we're at, this is coming in motivation. We know where we're at in the process, we're going to get the question. Is it attainable right now? This is super important. So I want to come in. I want to do where I'm at in my life right now, it's probably not very released. I can really try and I can really work on it. Could I do it in just 10 years, 15 years? Okay, I really try. I know I don't not right. So, but it's a realistic need right now, the resources that I have available to me, the team that I have, probably not. I am grateful. And then time based, right? The time stamp on it. When is this going to do? I love days, I love timelines and things like that to keep me on track. Sometimes I procrastinate, but eventually I get the team done before the time. And so that keeps me accountable to myself, to my partners in the movement and the goal, and it encourages me to get the thing done, right? And so when we run our goal through all that, we have created what is our core advocacy goal. Like I said, we want you guys to take a minute and kind of create one. We're going to finish this process pretty briefly and quickly. Of course, you don't have to have final product right now, but I do want to offer it and really encourage my ability to help you throughout the process. We create a goal here, take it with you out in the community, reach out to me, and I would love to help. I would love to be a friend, a supporter of your advocacy goals, so that you can make sure that we're actually moving forward with changes that we want, right? And so my email, my phone number, anything I can do to help you guys with your advocacy goals. And so yeah, like I said, I will last 1 minute and create just a goal that you want to write down and stick with it for a little while. And yeah, we can provide it. I know we love to hear something. If you already have it, that's great. We'd love to hear it. Because we got people we worked on for advocacy. There are any questions? Can I clarify something for you?
Can you give a few examples?
Yeah. So I have received that. And I was in an organization that I love. And I love my job, I love my team a lot. And I can talk about this. Right. And it wasn't necessarily anyone person's fault, but it got to the point where I was really frustrated, it affected my job performance, all that kind of stuff. Just because I wasn't doing things. And so I created a goal to try to advocate for myself. And this is pretty early in my advocacy process, and made a lot of mistakes. I really kind of screwed up my whole thing when it comes to you. But what it did is it taught me that it was worth screwing up. It was worth screwing up that because I had a lot of comment. I ended up leaving that organization and Fortunately for me, I might fell into a perfect property in the space that you talked about. But what it taught me is that I advocated for myself and I fell flat on my face in a couple ways, and I really did do some good things in a couple ways that I think will have lasting impact on what that organization needs. And so I think it was very much worth setting my goal, trying to work on it, and trying to change.
Sure, yeah, so I think one of the goals that I have. So the goal for me right now in this moment is I would love it like at the end of this presentation, I've inspired at least 5 people to contact me after this presentation is done to get involved with the work that we're doing on the legislature. So that's my goal for it.
I will say it's because of one of the presentations that I'm here giving this. So these kind of things can be very inspiring and get us on the track.
My goal, and I have shared with you, is I want to speak at the Raleigh Board of Governors.
Awesome.
That's my goal. So,
Well, that's my goal is to grow and stability and
Yeah.
I would like to, over the next 3 months, find a route to get people in Weber Davis counties treated for Hep C and HIV and timely more for matter. Yes, I don't know that it's very complicated right now.
I would like within the next 10 years, a long time, but for there to be services for undocumented communities, we can't call it.
It's okay. Different times.
Like, more options.
Okay, awesome. That sounds like creating more resources in our community for people that aren't so that's great. They are.
And then like going around to like by stating the goals, we inspire other people to action. So people will just know their goal and I will take involved with them. Like, I mean, so you can always like rather more your cause, get about goals and your challenge for what they are. Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions? Yeah. I know this. It is great again with law school. Yeah, the last time we were in our online commission. I have really out in front, my email is here. Please feel free to take their email, and I will support your partner. Staying on that 100% because I feel that this is extremely important for perspectives to get more involved in the community, expanding it for change that affects us. There is all out there that affects and defines what we do. Right, only reason here's for consistent formal obligations because you can build that data. Here's what we've going on for a million years. But specifically in food centers and other areas, now our ourselves that don't even need services for creating alternative systems, matters. And so basically like you saw our Florida Council for got great lists throughout the nation are doing that for us. And it's time for us